She told, check it out, this is what she said. She said, oh. She said she wants some Marvin Gaye, some Luther Vandross, a little Anita, but definitely set this party alright.
Welcome. I want to welcome you to yet another episode of the Unpopular Podcast. It's your boy Jalen, and I don't know if I told you guys last week, but I'm trying to, because this is National Women's Month, every episode this month I'm trying to have another young lady that's in sports come on the podcast and talk about sports, talk about a specific topic, and just have a conversation. So stay tuned. I do have a guest coming in, a guest on the phone today. But before we start that, let me. So as we know, this coronavirus thing is not only picked up steam. This is full blown crisis mode. When I say crisis mode, I'm not saying as far as like hide your kids, hide your wife, but everybody and their mama is scared. You know, you have people getting sick left and right. Not too many people are passing away, fortunately, but people have passed away from it. I think the lack of knowledge and the lack of knowing what to do next because of this virus, or in terms of the virus, has really scared a lot of people. And we start here because in an unprecedented move, the MLB, NBA, NHL, and MLS have all come together and shut down media access to the locker rooms. They want their players as far away from the virus as possible, and they feel that letting media come into the locker room is pretty much a gateway or window to the virus coming in. Now, of course, there's going to be some specific media that can come in. You have to be authorized, but they're really shutting down on that. And this is a step before a lot of teams, a lot of media, a lot of organizations have even juggled with the idea of playing in arenas or playing in stadiums without fans, playing NBA games without fans, playing baseball games without fans. Hell, they're talking about maybe they're going to have their games at the spring training facilities, which is of course smaller, more packed in, no fans are in there. And I understand the fear. I understand the precautionary measures. But I will say this. We're seeing a lot of action because, like I said, we don't really know. We do know that there's a coronavirus going around. We do know that people are getting sick left and right. We do know that most people are surviving, but they're still getting sick. We do know that people from the ages, I think, 60 up are a lot more susceptible, unfortunately, to death if they get. Now, not saying that all of them pass away, but and again, I'm not an expert. I don't know. I just do know that people are taking steps. It's not just in the sports world. You see South by Southwest. That is, for people that don't know, that's a huge music festival. That has gotten canceled. They're considering canceling Coachella, which is one of, if not the largest music festivals. Like I said, LeBron James came out and said, I'm not playing if there's no fans. I understand what he's saying, but then I do get the fact that this is something we may or may not have ever experienced, and the sporting events have to go on. The NFL is trying to figure out a way how to have games with fans but lack contact. You see the XFL, they interview players on the field, so because of this virus, it is we don't know what to do. When I say we, the media, the sports, that we're trying to figure it out. And the thing that I want to implore people is don't be aware, but don't be scared. Be prepared, but don't be fearful of this virus. And I say that to say, if you continue to try to be healthy with yourself, continue to be clean, as in wash your hands, take showers, you know what I'm saying? And even if you do get it, it's go to the hospital, quarantine yourself. It's pretty much a really strong flu, you know what I mean? So again, I start off now. Yes, this is a sports podcast, and I like to keep it within the realm of sports, and that's why I started off with this virus, because you're seeing people like the MLB, like the NBA, and this is one of the first. I don't know if this is the first time, but this is the first time I am aware that most, if not all, of the major league sports have come together in unison for one, or to take action against one cause. You know what I mean? Like, this is the first time I've seen the MLB, NBA, and MLS and NHL come together in unity to try to tackle a situation head on. Yeah, they don't want to stop the games. They don't want fans to be able to at least watch the game. They don't want fans to be able to they don't want fans not to be part of the action, but they do want to keep their league, their players healthy. Now, another side of this that a lot of people aren't thinking about, except maybe the media, is this is going to affect a lot of media jobs. If this continues to last for a minute, this is going to affect media jobs. A lot of people are sideline reporters. A lot of reporters, their job is to get sideline interviews, to get in the locker room after and before games, to talk to players. And with the leagues limiting that access, it's going to be a fun way. Well, let me say this. It's going to be, we're going to have to figure out, or we're going to see how they're going to approach this, how they're going to approach interviews, how they're going to approach, after game or post game interviews, in the locker room. And are they still going to have media rooms? Because for people that don't know, there's a locker room and then there's usually a media room. Not all players go to the media room, which is why a lot of the media goes to the locker room so they can get all access. Because LeBron James doesn't really go to the media room after. In fact, I don't think he goes to the media room at all unless it's like the playoffs or something. So, or like the beginning of the season. That's why they try to get players like LeBron, players like, I don't know, KD or something. Like, they try to get them in the media room, or in the locker room, because they know they don't really have to go to the media room. The only people that really go to the media room is like, Steve Kerr, or coaches, and sometimes players. Like, I know Steph Curry goes there, but it's not like he has to. So, like I said, this coronavirus, as we're seeing now, and especially with this new act that these leagues have set, it's really going to change the way that we view sports right now, and it really depends on how long this coronavirus isn't able to be contained. It's going to change how media covers the sport, and how the fans are able to receive it. If I have never been in a gym. When I played college basketball, I was never in a gym. And even in, well, no, we did have some practices, but playing, like actual game, I've never played in a gym where no fans. Now, I had never played in I've never played in a huge NBA style arena, as in a regular place to play. Of course, we played in conference games and championship games, but I've never played in an arena for an actual game with no fans. So I understand why it would be a little weird for players and coaches and everybody. So, this is a developing story, as clearly, because the coronavirus, we're still learning more and more about it each day. So, just keep on the lookout, man, and be vigilant. Everybody and their mom is telling you to wash your hands, so wash your hands, people. Not saying that washing your hands is like the automatic, all right, you're not going to get it if you do this, but just stay clean, stay clean. Moving forward, and we'll kind of stick. Since we didn't really talk about it, we'll go to football. No, we'll stick with basketball a little bit. No, we'll go to football. Go to football. So as we know, we talked about this on on a previous episode, that the NFL CBA is trying to propose that the NFL season extends to, I believe, 17 games, and that the playoffs expand so more teams can be in it. Some players were against it. Some players, of course, were for it, seeing as though the salaries that they get more money, especially the players that, believe it or not, live check to check. And what we saw this week is they said that they're gonna have a vote, and this is kind of, I don't know much about this, but I did want to bring it to you guys' attention, is that they said that if they don't approve the 17, they're going to go back into negotiations and try to make it 18 games. I don't know how they're doing that. And I can see, if they do that, I can really see a lockout coming soon. Of course, as a fan, I don't want a lockout, but I can really see it coming soon if it really feels like, now, of course, they can say, for players that are making the league minimum or something, this helps them tremendously, but this is really starting to feel like, well, it felt like a money play at first, but now this is really starting to feel like a money play, and it feels like the owners kind of have a little bit more say than the players, which shouldn't be the case. Now, again, I don't know if that's the ultimate outcome they will extend, or I don't know if the players will be able, like, yo, we don't want it, and then there wouldn't be a lockout, because with the lockout, almost everybody except probably the owners lose the most. You know what I mean? So I don't know how it's gonna go, but I do know that is coming down the pipe soon, and we just have to wait and see. Because I don't know. That's something that I've never experienced, and I'm not playing football, but that's I know players, they lament about going through hell to play every day. Yeah, they love the sport, but it's still it's still tough. So the fact that you're trying to add games just to add, what I mean, like for fan and money, it's I understand their frustration. Well, some players' frustration, and I do understand some players that's for it, seeing as though a lot of them don't make millions upon millions of dollars. So get one or two extra game checks plus another opportunity or a better opportunity to make the playoffs, which is another check or more checks. So I get it. And lastly, before we move on, so Dak Prescott, it's been reported that Dak Prescott has turned down a deal that would pay him $33 million a year and roughly between 100 and 105 guaranteed. It's been reported that he turned that down. The Cowboys have sent in another contract, but we don't know the details of that one. And this is what I'll say about that. You have to have perspective in your life. You have to be able to understand what's what. You have to be able to understand yourself. You have to be able to understand your value. Because some people, you can be the most valuable person in their life, but for others, you're not. Dak Prescott is in a peculiar situation. Nobody and their mama, except people on Dak's team, as in like his lawyers or his agent, his family, nobody outside of Dak's circle thinks that Dak Prescott is worth $33 million a year. but then you have to tack on value. When you look at the quarterback market right now, you have Tom Brady, who that might be a better fit in the present, but then you'll be pretty much scrapping your future. You have Phillip Rivers, who could be more than likely is 1 foot out the door, and not because he wants to, it's because his body just can't do it anymore. You have Cam Newton, who is a really good fit, but we don't know about his injury. I mean, we know about his injury history, but we don't know how ready he will be, and we don't know how much his body will hold up. Not to mention, Dak Prescott is more an accurate thrower than Cam. Cam is just a better physical athlete. So when you look at the landscape of the NFL, and you look at the landscape of the quarterbacks, especially the quarterbacks that are available, more than likely, Dak Prescott more than likely is the best one for the long term. So when you think of that, and you think of the Cowboys and Jerry Jones is in a win now mode, but you don't want to scrap your future, Dak Prescott has those cards in his hands. But then I don't get the fact that being paid $33 million a year and having a contract guarantee between 100 and 105, that is one of the richest contracts in NFL history. And you turn that down. There is nobody outside of Dak Prescott's bubble that thinks he's worth that. But if the Cowboys are willing to pay you that, you take it, bro. Or you risk being franchise tagged, the one thing that you didn't want to do in this entire process. Because the franchise tag only benefits the team. Yet it allows you to keep the player. It allows you to not have any insurance if the player gets hurt. And it allows you to pretty much, if the player gets hurt, to just say, and just say, yeah, he can go. Not to mention, you only have to pay for that year, which means the next year is not guaranteed. Again, Dak Prescott is in a very peculiar spot. I can say it's easy for me. I would have said yes to this offer faster than a ball can drop. But I've never seen $33 million. I've never seen NFL type money. And I also wouldn't, again, it's leverage, but it's leverage to a certain extent. And it goes back to the value situation. If Dak Prescott knows that he's worth more and he will be able to get a bigger contract or a better contract, then that makes sense. But that is a wild reassurance. Again, this is one of the richest contracts ever in the history of the NFL, and he turns it down. Dakota Prescott turns it down. Now, again, if him and his agent know that a bigger deal is coming, much kudos to you. You see something that I don't see. But right now, I'm not seeing it. And honestly, I don't think the Cowboys are seeing it because the Cowboys had to send you another contract. The Cowboys, this whole time we've been hearing about the Cowboys trying to franchise tag or prepared to franchise tag Dak Prescott and Amari Cooper. Not to mention, Amari Cooper still is trying to get another contract as well. But we've heard that the Cowboys are trying to franchise tag Dak Prescott because they don't want to pay him long term or something or whatever. So the fact that they send you a deal that's this much money and you still turn it down knowing that more than likely you probably won't get anything higher than this, which means that you more than likely will get franchise tagged, that would be that, it's a little head scratching unless Dak Prescott doesn't want to be a Cowboy anymore. No, he's come out and said that he wants to be, of course, so no signs are really pointing to that except the fact that he turned down his contract. But if he doesn't want to be a Cowboy anymore, I think they have until Monday to Monday next week to franchise tag. If not, I think he's a free agent. So, that is a story that has to develop. Like, we have to see what's going to happen because, again, right now it's confusing to me because that's a lot of money to put on the table, especially for a quarterback that, to me, isn't even top 5, but that's just something to keep our eyes on. So moving forward, we're gonna go to the NBA. So Kenny Atkins, who was the coach of the Nets, him and the Nets, Atkins and the Nets mutually agreed to part ways. And more than likely, when you hear mutually, it probably wasn't mutually, because nobody really wants to get fired unless you're the coach of the Knicks. So they mutually, agreed to part ways. Reports have come out saying that some of the new players weren't or didn't really like him being there. Some reports saying that he wasn't too happy with coaching Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving next year. There's just a lot of reports that we don't know. We haven't really heard from Kenny. We haven't heard from the organization except for saying they've mutually part ways. And this doesn't look good on Kyrie. This doesn't look good on KD because they haven't come out and said anything. I'm not saying they're the reasons why, but I'm pretty sure if KD wanted to keep Kenny Atkins, he could have kept Kenny Atkins. And then there's a report that came out saying that Kyrie Irving prefers Ty Lue to be the coach. I don't know how Ty Lue continues to keep getting shots, but hey, and I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but he had one championship. And if we're really being serious, that championship came after a lot of breaks for the Cavaliers. But, he has one championship. So, and if he's that much of a great coach, I don't know if the Cleveland Cavaliers would have fired him. I think they fired him because they just wanted to clear. So I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but I'm saying that's who Kyrie wants. So that's a developing story. It was a little shocking to me because nobody had the Nets came from. People don't remember, one of, if not the worst trade in NBA history. The Nets pretty much traded their entire future to get players like a Kevin Garnett, who was at the tail end of his career, Paul Pierce, tail end of his career, Deron Williams, tail end of his career due to injury, Gerald Wallace. Like, they got old really quick and traded their entire future, their entire immediate future to the Celtics. And at the time, and probably still now, that was probably the worst trade ever. But with Kenny Atkins, with a good management system, they were able to flip that. They were able to bring on players like a Spencer Dinwiddie. They were able to bring on a Karis LeVert. They were able to bring on a D'Angelo Russell last year. They were able to bring on players, and to the surprise of everyone, they had a promising season last year. And a lot of that was due to coaching from Kenny Atkins. So with this being his second season, yeah, he doesn't have that much of a winning record, but that's because of the talent on the floor, and that's not really due to him. That's when you bank your present and future on Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are on the floor, you have to work with what you have. And the magic that was there last year isn't really there this year. That could be because of personnel. That could be because last year was a special season. I don't know. So I was a little shocked about it. I'm excited to see who's going to be the coach. I do think that Kenny Atkins kind of suffers from what Brad Stevens suffers from. I don't know how good Brad Stevens is. I don't know how good Brad Stevens is coaching superstars, and I don't know how good Kenny Atkins is coaching superstars. But I do know that, especially when it's with young developing players, Kenny Atkins is a hell of a coach. Brad Stevens is a hell of a coach. It's just we're not 100% sure how they are coaching superstars, which is cool. Not saying they're bad coaches. It's just some people are more of the developing type, as in I develop young players to be great. Like look at Jason Tatum along with Brad Stevens. Yes, Jason Tatum's good, but nobody thought he'd be this good this fast. And I think that's attributed to Brad Stevens is molding a system around Jason Tatum. Look at last year with Kenny Atkins. Kenny Atkins saw that D'Angelo Russell, even though he had his problems with the Lakers, They wanted to bring him in. They wanted to see how he is, and they wanted to, they wanted to form a system around him, and they did. And then it got them. I think, yeah, it got them to the playoffs. So again, I don't think this is over for Kenny Atkins. I don't think that this is the last. I don't think he's a bad coach. I don't think that the players hated him. I don't know, but I don't think that because I see the success last year. I just think that he understands himself. He understands the room, and the room is, you have two superstars coming next year, and he might be better just coaching up players instead of coaching superstars, which is cool. Some players, like if you think Phil Jackson was good at coaching superstars, Doc Rivers, Brad Stevens was not when he had Kyrie. David Blatt wasn't when he had LeBron. Like Mark Jackson, his relationship kind of got stale with the Golden State Warriors when Steph Curry started to arise. So it's, shouts out to Kenny Atkins. I'm sure he'll bounce back, and we'll just see who the next coach is going to be for the Nets, especially a coach that can, and they're definitely looking for a coach that can coach superstars. So, and before we go to my guest, I just wanted to give you guys my top 5 MVP race. I usually maybe do this once or twice in the season until the end, but I just wanted to do it now because, hey, I wanted to do it. So at number 5, I have James Harden. James Harden still leads the league in scoring. Yes, I don't think that the Houston Rockets really have a shot at winning a championship because how small they are. Now, I do see advantages of playing small, but I see the advantages of playing small in certain situations, not entire games, not entire systems. I think they've lost like 4 straight. And out of the 4 straight, they've been brutally out-rebounded. And when you give teams, especially NBA teams, they can be trash teams. They're still in the NBA. When you give them multiple, and I mean multiple shots at scoring, they're gonna find ways. So when you're getting out-rebounded by 30 or 25 or 32 or 35, that's 35 extra possessions. That is like in the NBA. That's how you get. They got destroyed by the Magic, and this was a team, the Rockets, that were supposed to be, if not championship favorites, at least in the top 5 window. And right now, they're not looking like it. But even with all that, James Harden is still leading the league in scoring. James Harden, along with Russell Westbrook, are still a power pack that is worked. Now, I don't know how much has worked in winning, which is why I have him at 5th, but I do know that James Harden is still an incredible superstar and still is doing what he does best, which is scoring, which is getting to the lane, which is getting to the line, which is his step back threes, his unorthodox way of scoring. It still works. So that's why I have him at 5th. At 4th, I have Kawhi Leonard. That is a little bit due to the fact that the Clipper season is going it's going well. That is, Kawhi Leonard is still the best, to me, one of the best two-way players in the league when healthy. The reason why I have him at 4th and not a little higher is due to the load management, is due to the fact that the Clippers aren't number 1 in the West, due to the fact that he has a lot of help around him now. And that while that shouldn't hurt a lot of people when it comes to MVP voting, it definitely will, seeing as the talent that you have around him. The one time I don't think it really hurt somebody was when Steph Curry won unanimously, but that was because he was in the 50-40-90 club while averaging 30 points a game. And he was the league leader in steals. So, Kawhi Leonard's had an incredible season. Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers still look like the team to beat. Yes, they did lose to the Lakers this weekend, but they still look like the team to beat. And because of that, that's why, and he's a leader of that team. And because of that, that's why I have him at 4th. At 3rd, I have Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is the reason why the Dallas Mavericks are in the playoff race. They're the reason why the Dallas Mavericks have a good chance of upsetting somebody in the playoffs. Yes, you have Porzingis, but Porzingis, as we've seen, I don't know if he's alpha enough to be a number one. And what we're seeing is Luka has all the capability of being a number one. You know, with his scoring, with his passing ability, he looks like a veteran. I think this is only year 2, so you know, Luka is one of the best players in the league, and yes, I wouldn't say he's top 10 yet, but what I will say is he's top 5 in MVP voting, especially this year. There's other people that I could have put in this list that I didn't. You know, you have Chris Paul, and nobody really expected the OKC Thunder to be as good as they are. Damian Lillard, especially that stretch he had where he was putting Kobe-like numbers. Bradley Beal, hell, shameless plug, Bradley Beal. You know, even though the Wizards aren't winning as much, he's still putting up godly numbers. So, you know, this list could have been a little bigger, but you know, I just wanted to hold it to 5 because I don't think people outside of 5 really have a shot. So that's why I only kept it to 5. Number 2, because I kind of scrambled there. Number 2, I have LeBron James. The reason why, you know, I'm going to just say number 2 and number 1. Number 2 is LeBron James and number 1 is Giannis. The reason why I still have LeBron James in number 2 is because I'm looking at the entire body of work so far that we have this year with Giannis and LeBron. And while LeBron James has had an incredible season and has had a MVP-like season, and he's beat, you know, Giannis and LeBron James. They split the series. I can't overlook what Giannis has done this entire year. Giannis has made it look easy. Hell, look at what we've seen in the last few games. Giannis plays LeBron. While LeBron James and the Lakers did win, LeBron James had, I think, 35 or 37, and Giannis had 32. To me, the reason why they won that game is Anthony Davis played a really big part. Yes, LeBron James was incredible, but Anthony Davis, I think, chipped on like 28, 25 points or something like that. Nobody else outside of Giannis really helped Giannis for the Bucks that game. And we've seen Giannis has missed the last 2 games for the Bucks. The Bucks have been destroyed, and one of those games was against the Phoenix Suns. They have been, and the Denver Nuggets, they have been destroyed in those games without Giannis. With Giannis, he's putting up historic numbers. They are on a historic pace. Without Giannis, they're bottom of the bucket team. And because of that, that is why I have Giannis at number 1. I look at what's happening on the court, and on the court, they're on a historical pace. In fact, he's on a historical pace to, I don't know if he'll be able to do it, but to beat out Steph Curry's 2016 season, which a lot of people argue is the greatest NBA season of all, or by an individual player of all time. One of. I'm not saying is, but one of the greatest seasons of all time. Like I said, 50, 40, 90, averaging 30.1 points a game, leading the league in steals, leading your team to 73-9. You know, that season. And Giannis is on pace to not only match, but surpass that in some areas. So that is why I have Giannis number 1. And, you know, LeBron James number 2. Now, if LeBron James wins the MVP, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be shocked. It wouldn't be fluke. If Giannis won, I wouldn't be shocked. I'd be a little shocked if Luka won, especially what we're seeing from Bron and Giannis. I'd be shocked if James Harden, unless they go on like a historic run and don't lose again, and he averages, 40 or something. And I don't see Kawhi winning because winning it due to the fact that load management, I don't know how many games he's going to play. So until the playoffs, of course. But once the playoffs hit, the voting's over. So, without further ado, and moving forward, like I said, this is Women's History Month, and I told you guys I would like to. I want to have a conversation with a young lady every episode this month because I want to honor, National Women's Month. I want to hear from women in sports. And today I have Miss Jasmine Brown. For people that don't remember, she is actually my first guest that I've ever had on the podcast. It was definitely an honor to have her on then, and it's an honor to have her on now. And I wanted to talk to her about where she started in the sports career to where she is now. I wanted to talk about, we all know, well, for people that don't know, she's a beloved Maryland fan. I mean, she went to Maryland. So I want to talk to her about the Maryland basketball, both men and women. And I want to talk about the changes and improvements that were made and that still need to be made from the WNBA. So without further ado, here's Jasmine Brown.
And last time we talked, things have definitely changed for you. And seeing as though this is Women's History Month, I wanted to have you on because I think that, let me say, when I first talked to you, you were, of course, a sideline reporter for the Wizards and the Mystics and University of Maryland. So you're doing a lot. And I remember you talking about, the grind is real, but you enjoy doing it. Tell, if you don't mind, tell the listeners where you were, as in when you were doing the sideline reporting, to where you are now.
Yeah, so I am currently a production assistant at ESPN, and I think all the grind that I was doing leading up to that definitely paid off. The workload is a lot more than all three combined, but yeah, I think just all of that stuff that I was doing prepared me to work as a worldwide leader. So I'm very, happy to have done that. And in hindsight, I'm glad that I was able to do all that stuff for ESPN.
Great. So, congratulations on that. I'm sure you can't tell us how a day at ESPN is, because I'm sure it's different every day, but just tell us some of the things that you learned since working at ESPN, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is making sure that you are abreast of sports information. I think the biggest thing is accuracy. Because if you get something wrong and it airs, it's going to be your fault, it's going to be the producer's fault, pretty much everybody's fault. So being accurate is definitely wanted and required. I think that's another big thing is getting stuff in on time. Constantly live every hour. So every minute of the hour, I would say. And if you don't have your stuff in on time, producers are pretty good with replacing it with something else, but viewers mainly want things that are, like I said, like a Clippers, like Clippers, like the things. If you don't have your highlight in on time, it's okay, but people are going to want to see that first, the highlight first of that. So, definitely required of people to make sure that everything's in on time. So, Sports Center or whatever airing is in, going to roll and in the time slot that it's prepared for.
Okay. Well, let's switch gears a little bit. We did talk about your ties with University of Maryland, of course, graduating there and covering the team. How do you feel about the recent success that both the men's and women's team are seeing right now? And do you think that both teams have a legitimate shot of course, going all the way and winning the national championship?
Yeah, I do. I think for the boys, this is definitely a great accomplishment. I know everybody keeps talking about the whole share thing, but say they won. It was a really, really tough league, and you have 3 teams winning a conference. There's no clear-cut outright winner. It just shows how good the conference was. And the same thing for the girls. The girls are usually winning outright regular season, and they've lost the last 2. national champ, well, not the tournament championship to Iowa and Ohio State. So even them sharing the title, that shows how good the women's side was too. So yeah, I really do. I do think that both teams are poised to win the national championship. I think I will give an edge more to the boys because I think with the girls, I think a lot of them don't have the tournament experience, which most of the team does. They do, but I think Oregon's probably my pick to win it all. Either Oregon or South Carolina. Those two teams are just insane. That's just not all necessarily for my side. And then on the boys' side, I do think that they have a better chance at winning it all just because of it not really being a solid, clear team that's been really good all year. So I do think that the boys may have more of an edge. But, I mean, it's been a really good college basketball season. I think after Zion left, it definitely opened the door for people to get to know other players more. And I like that personally because it was only Zion last year. But, yeah, I'm actually really excited for March Madness. I think it's going to be really crazy this year. I can't say that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's like you said, there's no real clear cut dominant team in college basketball, especially looking at the men. The women, on the other hand, you have South Carolina, you have Oregon, you still up in Maryland. So I think it's a little more wide open on the men's side than the women's. And lastly, before we go, I wasn't able to. I remember last time we talked, we had a discussion about what the WNBA needs to do to improve themselves. We talked about travel, we talked about income, we talked about a lot of things, and I wasn't able to get with you until now about the new CBA and how they passed better wages for women and the pregnancy. Now you have pretty much paid leave. How do you feel about the CBA changes, and do you think that is enough to, or do you think that the WNBA still needs to do more in terms of improvement?
The CBA is really good. I really do like what Cassie has done in her role, and she hasn't had much time she hasn't even been in for a complete year. She's getting all this stuff done. Even when she did the travel for the West Coast teams in the playoffs, that was big in itself. And I really applaud her for really being hands-on. And I think her business background definitely helps with that, being at Deloitte. I do think that they need to do more, but I think that will weigh on the revenue because you can't put too much into anything when there's not revenue coming out of it. You can't dump everything into it because you're not getting that success out of it. So I think the WNBA needs to do better with marketing. Marketing sucks. I'm just going to start out there. It sucks. They're terrible. With that, and it's not her fault. It's whoever. It sucks, and they need to work on that. Be better with branding. Be better with marketing their top players, marketing their new players, trying to bridge the gap between NCAA and WNBA. Try something. I think that'll help. And yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. The biggest thing is marketing and getting people in seats. It's because I think arena attendance is low, but television attendance was high. We're not 58%. So I think they did a good job, I guess, for ESPN ratings and games there and stuff like that. But other than that, I think they did a really good job. I do like the fact that Skylar Diggins being pregnant prompted them to realize that they needed to make a change. Also with DeWanna Bonner, she was pregnant with twins that came back. So I like that. And then, just everything that was laid out in there was really good. It's comparable to the league right now. I think once the league gets better, then, more money can be involved and more travel and possibly private charter flights for all teams can be implemented. I think, a lot of them don't have NBA affiliates, so that's probably the biggest factor. But everything else I like is pretty good. I think everybody will be satisfied this upcoming season.
Well, I do appreciate it. Definitely good hearing from you. I'm proud of what you've been doing with, the ESPN and everything, and what you've been doing, period. I do appreciate your time being on the podcast. I know you're, like you said, very busy. And, again, this is what I want to do is have women on for almost every episode this month. So I do appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to talk to me.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And there you have it. I want to again thank Jasmine Brown for coming on. I want to thank you guys for listening. I want to thank. I don't think there's anything else I have today. I hope you guys enjoy wherever you guys are listening. I hope that there's good weather. It's kind of raining today, but it was like 75 yesterday. So I hope you guys are enjoying the good weather. Again, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Please share. Please subscribe, and tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Comment if you don't agree with something I said, or you have some feelings towards the podcast. Leave it in the comments, man. I definitely am welcome to it. So again, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and until next time, much love.
The best feeling in the world. You is a lie, you is not come from these sides, you cannot come to this side, yeah. Gangsta, but my chain too tight, yeah. I see my op through the sights. That bitch once I didn't tell her good night. All white on my ice look like rice. Stack up and get right out of sight. AG went up in my price. 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 I just went up in my price. Money, my bank account, this shit precise. I just went up in my price. I just went up in my price. Hey, I drive my whip like it's stolen. Yellow diamond look like Homer. Heard that Rolls Royce is your homies. So your whip that is a loaner. My money will rise like my boner. I fuck your bitch that did that off from Roma. We whip it up, no baking soda. I turn if a nigga right to on the donor. Okay, I feel like I own her. That girl so smart that she walk for diploma. Off-white, my G-face, oh they mama. She give me head all the way till I'm in coma. Ice is so cold, that pneumonia. I might hit that bitch with that super soaker. I heard that boy getting bread, so we gon' heat his ass up with the toaster. Got a model with Villa Lago. She got a condo out in Cabo. Got a side hoe for my side hoe. I get high the most, mix my highs with my lows. You is a lie, you is not come from this side. You cannot come to this side, yeah. Gangsta, but my chain too tight, yeah. I see my op through the sights. Hit that bitch once I didn't tell her good night, yeah. All white on my ice look like rice. Stack up and get right out of sight. AG went up in my price. AG went up in my price. AG went up in my price. I just went up in my price. I just went up in my price. Money, my bank account, this shit precise. I just went up in my price. I just went up in my price. Hey, I got the glick with the lock. That little bitch still gon' pop. You keep flexing with that drop. Best believe you gon' get dropped. I get my look from my mom. I get my swag from my pop. You did not want to do no time. So you start talking to the cops. I skipped in her pussy, then hop. I heard that bitch, she was hot. Hickory, dickory, dot. VVS all in my clock. Get money like Anthony Hop. Silence the lemon, your ass to get chopped. Clean up your brain on I5. Somebody please, can they go get the mob? Now I'm with my boys, so you know that the gang shit will not stop. You know that little bitch gonna corrupt, so if she let me fuck, then this shit is co-op. Yeah, I take more pills and she taking more shots. Man, watch the way I had to drip on the block. Overseas on the jet, I had to slide. I went all the way to Germany, back to Gerard. You is a lie. You is not cut from these sides. You cannot come to this side. Yeah, gangsta, but my chain too tight. Yeah, I see my op through the sights. Hit that bitch once, I didn't tell her good night. All white on my ice, look like rice. Stack up and get right at the sights. I G went up in my price. 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 Money, my bank account, this shit precise. I G went up in my price. 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 That's the way that tell them who you is. I G went up in my price. Come over here. You tell them too.
Yo, it's 1-4.